Hey everybody, welcome to Galactic Wisdom. Okay, well, today I am going to talk about needs, human needs. I'm going to talk about the psychology of human needs. And this is going to be valuable for anybody who wants to check that all of their psychological needs are being met. It's also going to be very valuable for anybody who's interested in being kind to other people. You know, I love my sister and everything, but every single Christmas she buys me the same thing, and it's something that I don't want. And one time before I die, maybe it would be nice if she just said, "Hey Rupert, what would you like for Christmas?" Because I never get Christmas presents from pretty much from anybody that I actually want. So if you can understand what other people want, what other people need, then you have a much better chance of being nice to them, of being moral to them. A lot of people think that they're being nice to people when actually they're being insulting, or they're not being nice at all. So this show is all about understanding everybody's psychological needs. Now, as people know, I'm heavily into understanding morality. Morality is all about how we affect the well-being of conscious beings. I say conscious beings because nobody's going to worry if I pick up a bit of paper like a business card and tear it or rip it in half. I'm not harming anybody. I'm not harming a conscious being. That there's no pain caused. But as soon as, if I pick up even a fly or a spider here, if I were to start pulling apart a spider, people would think I'm a warped person, because that's a conscious being. It can experience harm. Conscious beings can experience a increase or a decrease in well-being. That's why morality is all about how we affect the well-being of conscious beings. Now, we have three advisements. I have three advisements. I've talked in previous shows about how people follow moral codes like the Golden Rule or the Platinum Rule or commandments. And I've talked about in previous shows how it's so easy to find fault in those moral principles, in those moral codes. I have set out three moral principles which I think work pretty well for how to be a moral person. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them because I've talked about them before. But basically, the first advisement is do whatever is practically possible to minimize any reductions of well-being that you cause to conscious beings. It's don't harm anybody, basically. The second advisement is very similar to that. And it's talking again about the well-being of conscious beings. It is actually helping conscious beings who are in need, conscious beings who have a deficit of well-being. And the third advisement is far more general. It's just be kind to all conscious beings. So according to those three moral advisements, it's morally right for us to positively affect someone's well-being. But how? How can we positively affect someone's well-being? What specifically should we do to affect someone's well-being? And if somebody's trying to be kind to us, what should they do to increase or protect our well-being? Well, to answer that question, we really have to know something about the conscious being's needs. We have to know about their needs, or they have to know about our needs. We have to know what the specific needs of an individual are. And when we can understand someone's specific needs, then we're going to be in a much better position to be able to fulfill those needs and therefore increase, protect, or promote their well-being. And so this show here today is all about us trying to understand from a sort of a scientific perspective, a psychological perspective, each other's needs. Is it okay, do you think, for us all simply to assume that everybody's needs are the same? Do we think it's okay for us to assume that everybody else's needs are exactly the same as our needs? Well, clearly the needs of a fish are very different from the needs of a horse or the needs of a spider or a human. Fish need water to live in. Horses need to live on land. And so when we're dealing with different species, it does help to learn about those different species. Go out and watch some David Attenborough TV shows or documentaries. We need to find out who these species really are, what they really need. Because if we don't know what their needs are, then how are we going to be able to know how to increase their well-being? If you go and buy a pet, a species you haven't kept before, well, if you're not careful, you're going to kill that thing by feeding it the wrong food or keeping it at the wrong temperature or in the wrong environment. So learning about other species is important. That's actually one of the really important reasons why I connect with non-human entities, with different alien beings, with ebons and reptilians and mantians and antians and goblians and arcturians, pleiadians and the Galactic Council. Whenever we interact with them, I always ask them questions like, what can we do for you? Can you tell us about yourself so that we can understand what you need from us in order for us to be moral to you? But what about the needs of humans? Is it okay for us to assume that the needs of every human are the same? Well, a lot of human needs are the same. For example, to survive, we all need water, obviously, air, food, and a certain temperature range to live in. And there are higher level needs than those basic survival needs, which aren't things that we need to survive, but things that we need to be mentally or psychologically or emotionally healthy. For example, friends or partners, freedom or variety or mental stimulation. And so a lot of those needs, a lot of those higher level needs are also the same for everybody. But not all of every human being's needs are the same. Some of the needs of a child may be quite different from some of the needs of an adult. Some of the needs of a woman may be quite different from some of the needs of a man. Some of the needs of a neurodivergent person, somebody with ADHD or autism or a mental disorder of some description, may be different from some of the needs of neurotypical people. Also, to some extent, a person's individual psychology, emotions, and needs can be formed and affected by the family and the societal environments that that person grows up in. And so, while it's possible to say that most of the needs of most humans are the same, it's important to recognize that not all of the needs of any humans are the same. Some of the needs of children and adults are different. Some of the needs of men and women tend to be different. Some of the needs of neurodivergent and neurotypical people are different. Some of the needs of every single individual human being are different. So when it comes to understanding the needs of human beings that are the same for most humans, learning the science of psychology can be very helpful. And I'm going to delve into the science of psychology in a couple of minutes. To properly understanding the different needs of children and adults, men and women, and neurodivergent and neurotypical people, I recommend that you go out and do some of your own private research into those areas. Some of those areas are a little controversial. Some of those areas are just beyond the scope of this show. Some of those areas are a little bit beyond my expertise. But you can look to individual experts in those areas. So when it comes to understanding the different needs of people, the different needs that people have, because they're just individual people. They've grown up with different experiences in different environments. I think that the best approach is simply to talk to each other, to ask each other questions, to spend time with each other, to actually get to know people. If somebody wants to be kind to you, if they get to know you better, then they're going to be in a much better position to be able to be nice to you, to be able to be kind to you. So in the show, I'm going to focus in on an examination of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs that are the same for most human beings. And as I said, the best way of approaching this is to look at the subject of psychology. Now, psychology is considered to be a science. It's based on logic. That is why psychology has the ology part in there. Ology means logic. That means we're examining something about reality in a logical way. And psychology uses scientific methodologies to try to understand the human mind. Now, due to the complexity of our brains, our emotions, our behavior, sorry, I lost my focus there. Psychology is not an exact science in the way that physics, for example, is. Physics produces universal laws of motion, gravity, electromagnetism, things like that, that you can write out in equation form, and something equals something. Well, psychology is not that exact. However, the models and the theories and the knowledge that psychology has produced after centuries of scientific research are very helpful in understanding the feelings, the emotions, the cognitive processes, and the behavior of human beings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find, where am I? I'm trying to find my media, my photographs, because I've got, they're off the screen there. There they are. Okay. So media assets. I have got some visuals to help us to look at this subject. And I'm going to have to rearrange things on my screen a bit so that I can see my notes and the photos at the same time. Here we go. So here is a guy called Abraham Maslow. He was an American psychologist. In the 1940s, Abraham Maslow created a system which identified and categorized people's needs. This system, is called, I'm not sure if he named it or if it's been named subsequently, but it's known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And here is a graphic or a table that represents Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we can use Maslow's hierarchy of needs still today, even though it was created in around the 1940s. We can still use a lot of the work that Maslow did today to be an approximate guide to understanding what human beings need to increase or protect their well-being. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs can be represented in slightly different ways. Here's a different chart to show the hierarchy of needs. And some people even think that it's best not represented as a pyramid or a triangle, but with different needs that overlap in the way that you can now see on your screen. But I'm going to come back to this one. This is the chart that I'm going to use a lot today. Towards the bottom of these charts are things that we all need to survive. So these really are things that we need, like food and water. You don't get food, you don't get water for a few days, well, you die, and so you really did need them. These are called physiological needs. Around the middle of these charts are things that we need not to survive necessarily, but to be healthy, to be physically and emotionally healthy, like living in safe neighborhoods, like having friends. The presence of friends in our lives psychologically is very healthy for human beings. And towards the top of those charts are things that we need to be happy and fulfilled in our lives, like creative activities, feelings of accomplishment. So some people might say, well, we don't need those things, but we have to think about the construction of our sentences. We need those things if we want to be happy and fulfilled. So from that perspective, these are all psychological needs. Now, the hierarchical structure of this system indicates that it's easier for a person to meet their higher level needs, like those in the purple section up there, like self-fulfillment needs or self-actualization needs, like being in harmony with others, feeling like you have a positive, harmonious relationship with nature, that sort of thing. It can be easier for a person to meet the higher level needs when they're already meeting their lower level needs, like having a safe environment in their homes. Now, while that's generally true, it's not always true. For example, if you are enjoying nature and feeling like you're in harmony with nature, then that can actually help you to handle being in unsafe home environments. So it's not, strictly speaking, it doesn't have to be a hierarchical structure. And that's why people have come up with this chart where there's overlapping needs. But I'm going to go through these needs in a little while, and I am going to just talk through them. And if anybody watching would like, they can get a sheet of paper and they can write down yes or no to lots of these needs that I put to you in question form. You don't have to do this. You might just find it interesting to listen to all of these needs. But if you wanted to, then you can actually use this podcast, and you can rewatch it as many times as you need to. You can use this podcast to evaluate or assess your own well-being by determining how many yes answers you can get. Yes answers are good because you're meeting the needs. And how many no answers you get because you're not meeting the needs. I'm going to get some water. Okay, so let's see. Using insights from Maslow's hierarchy of needs and using my own knowledge, my own experience, my own thinking, my own moral convictions, I have constructed a sequence of well-being assessment tables, which anyone could use if they want to assess in a qualitative way their own well-being or the well-being of others. So what I'm trying to do here is help people. This is me trying to be a moral person by helping people. How am I helping people? I'm going to delve into what we all need. And if you personally see a need that I talk about and you think, maybe that's a need that I'm not addressing or fulfilling or meeting, you could go away and you can try and fulfill that yourself. If you know somebody who needs help, you can sit them down and play this podcast with them and get them to say yes or no to these needs, these questions that I'm going to ask. And then maybe if they're happy, if they're comfortable with you hearing which of their needs are being addressed and which are not, you can see how well this person is. You can see what needs are being met and what needs are not being met, and maybe you can help them. So this is a way that you can help people. If you're in a relationship, two partners, and you want to do something fun, listen through all of these questions and try and guess yes or no as to whether or not the other person's needs are being met in these areas. Because if it would be an interesting way to get to know somebody by delving into questions that you've never asked. And some of these questions maybe are not the kind of questions that everybody feels comfortable just bringing into casual conversation. So you might find yourself discovering things about people that you didn't know before. Okay, so there is something, before I go through all these questions, there's something called psychological denial. And psychological denial is when, if people go for long enough without having one of their needs met, rather than living in continual persistent discomfort, unhappiness, or dissatisfaction, a natural psychological defense mechanism kicks in and suppresses the negative emotions that are associated with that deficit. And in time, people can normalize the non-fulfillment of their needs to the extent that they sometimes then reject the idea that they even have those needs at all. very often those people will, even to make themselves feel psychologically okay with not meeting their own needs, they will go around and teach other people, this is something you don't need. I don't need it. You don't need it, just to make themselves feel better. But that's actually very harmful to do. So what I'm going to suggest is that allow yourself to be open to the possibility that some of these needs here, if you say to yourself, no, that's not something I need, well, just stop and pause and think, maybe it is. And the way to evaluate, is that a need that you have or not, is to ask yourself the question, if somebody were to come to me and say, I am just going to give you, I'm going to fulfill that need for you on a silver platter, no strings attached, no pressure, no hardship, doesn't cost you anything, I'm just going to fulfill that need for you. If you would say yes to receiving that need fulfillment, well, maybe it is a need for you. Maybe it's something that you should look into seeing if you can get. I know it's not always hard to fulfill our needs. A lot of need fulfillment is out of our control. But first of all, let's identify which needs are not being met. And then you can think about, well, which of these needs is it possible for me to try to meet? So let's see. Now I am going to leave out some needs. I'm going to leave out needs associated with body appearance, body image, romantic relationships, romantic intimacy, physical intimacy. I'm not going to go into the different needs of men and women. I'm not going to go into the different needs of anyone who is LGBTQ, the different needs of children, the different needs of divergent people. And I'm leaving out some of these needs because some of them are sensitive or controversial for some people to handle in a mature way. I know that a lot of my listeners are very mature people, but there are people out there that, will attack people for anything. So I'm going to leave out some of the controversial areas. I'm also leaving out some of those areas because I simply don't know enough about those areas to talk as an expert in those areas. So it's safest for me to leave out some of those areas. However, just because I'm leaving those different need areas out doesn't mean that they aren't important. And it doesn't mean that you need to leave them out of your own personal needs assessments. Okay, so what am I going to do? Let's look again to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're going to start at the bottom of the chart with the basic needs, with the physiological needs, things that we need in order to stay alive, basically. And I'm just going to put up my first table here. And if you want to, you can just listen along just out of interest to see what does psychology say that your needs are. Or if you want to, you can actually keep score. Okay, let's look. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, there's a new animal that I'm seeing running around outside my window, and I don't know what that was. That was like a cross between a bobcat and a rabbit. Okay, sorry. I got distracted there because I'm looking out of my window. Question number 1. Are you eating enough food to stay alive and fully nourished? So if you are, then you've got a yes, and that means that need is being met. If you're not, then, well, you need to do something about that. With these physiological needs, if you've got a physiological need that's not being met, you better get on top of addressing that straight away to the best of your ability, because these are things that if you don't get, you're risking death. Okay? Next question. Are you eating the right kind of food to live a long and healthy life? You see, that's challenging. To answer that question, you need to know something about what is healthy food. Well, quick piece of advice, go and watch the documentaries. What's that James Cameron one called? The Game Changers. That's a good place to start. Or What the Health. That's another good one. Okay, that's enough on that. Water, or water. Are you drinking enough water to stay alive and fully hydrated? That's important. A lot of people don't drink enough water in their lives. Do you have a home that can shield you from outdoors environmental conditions such as rain, extreme heat, or extreme cold? You know, I know a lot of people that already are not having all these needs met. And it's very sad that we live in societies where society is not providing what is needed for us to have all of these things. I myself have had to go for long periods of time without a home. And I know a lot of people that are in the same situation. So this is important for us, not just as individuals, but as societies to address these needs. The fifth one there, is the air in the location where you live free from unhealthy pollution or chemicals? If it is, like for me, up on a mountainside, then that's great because you're getting the healthy air that you need. But if you're answering no because you're like in a city, well, there's two things we can do about that. One, we can vote for whichever political party is going to reduce that pollution, environmentally conscious parties, as opposed to those that just want to get more money from burning fossil fuels. Another thing we could do if no is the answer, well, think about moving to a mountain like where I live. Okay, so that's the first table. Let's look at the second one. This is 1.2, physiological needs without which we may be less healthy. So we're not going to die if we don't get these needs, but we would be less healthy. Are you getting enough sleep every night that you feel mentally alert and free from fatigue for almost the entire day? Is it true that you don't rely on caffeine or energy drinks to keep yourself feeling awake and mentally alert? That second one, I personally get addicted to caffeine so badly and so quickly that it's really just not worth it for me to ever have caffeine. You know, if I need one boost, just to keep me driving for another couple of hours before I crash for the night, then yeah, I will have something with a bit of caffeine in it. But then if I have caffeine the second day, that's me gone. I'm addicted, and and when I try and wean myself off, then I'm getting really bad headaches. It's not healthy to do that. Try and get enough sleep, even if you need to nap in the afternoon. You know, historically, there have been societies and cultures where they had two sleep periods, one during the night and one during the day, like siestas, I suppose. Yeah, anyway, that might be something you want to consider. Let's see, what's the next chart? Here we go. 2.1, we're moving up now. What color is this? We're moving up now to safety and security needs. Here we go. This is current safety and security needs. Do you feel safe from sources of physical harm that may be within your home? You know, it's sad, but a friend of a friend, a couple of days ago, she brought over to my home her friend of a friend who is being not treated well by her husband, shall we say. It's not a safe home environment. That's a no. Now, you know, everybody's life is complicated, and I'm not here to give advice about domestic disturbances, but my general response here would be, if somebody's mistreating you at home, figure out a way to leave that situation as soon as you possibly can. Do you feel safe from sources of emotional harm that may be within your home? Maybe not physical harm, but somebody being mean to you, unpleasant to you, because that is another form of harm. Do you feel safe in your home from sources of physical harm that may enter from outside of your home? Do you feel safe in your home from sources of emotional harm that may enter from outside of your home? Do you feel physically safe walking or traveling around your neighborhood? Do you feel emotionally safe walking or traveling around your neighborhood? And again, some of these things you can't really do a lot about, apart from move to a different neighborhood. But maybe you should think about doing that if you're in a place that is not happy and nice and well for you. Do you feel physically safe with all of the specific individual people who are presently in your life? Do you feel emotionally safe with all of the specific individual people who are presently in your life? Are you able to get adequate health care when you need it? Can you comfortably afford adequate health care when you need it? Now, I'm not intending this show to be political at all. These are things that we need. These are psychological, physical, mental, emotional, a whole range of different needs, even spiritual needs a bit later. And if you're not able to get adequate health care, try to do something about it. See if you can do something about it. And honestly, this is something. I've got a woodpecker banging on my wall outside. Sorry for the noise. Try to do something about it as a society, because I'm in the US right now, and it's crazy. It's crazy, the healthcare system here. When I lived in the US and a lot of countries around Europe, that's one of the things that the government provides for you. Okay, what's next? Can you comfortably afford adequate healthcare when you need it? Do you feel safe from nuclear war, civil war, or widespread fighting conflicts that might occur in the next year or two? Do you feel safe and secure from environmental disasters that might happen over the next year or two, such as floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, heat waves, and freezes? Maybe the best that you can do, if you're answering no to any of these things, maybe the best thing you can do is talk to a friend about it. Maybe you can't change it, but maybe you can talk it through with somebody. But then, maybe moving to a different location where you are not going to be in a place where there's likely environmental disasters, maybe that's something that you could think about doing. And let's see. Are you secure enough financially that you don't currently need to worry about your finances negatively affecting your safety the next year or two? Finances. Oh my goodness. I don't know many people who are financially well off. 2.2. Okay, I need to get my immediate assets back. There you are. 2.2. Nope, that's the one I just did. Let's move on to 3.1. So we're moving up to green here. We're moving up to love and belonging needs. And I'm doing it love and belonging needs from family and friends. Do you have one or more individual friends or family members with whom you feel very comfortable because they accept you and welcome you? And again, if you're answering no, do something about it. Go out, meet people, join social groups, do something to meet the needs that are not being met. If you have one or more individual friends or family members with whom you feel very comfortable because they accept and welcome you, do you meet up with them regularly in person? This is an important one. We've sort of entered into an age where many people, they really only have friends online, in chat rooms, on social media. And while that can serve an important psychological and emotional purpose in our lives, if you can't meet up with them in person and shake their hand and give them a hug and talk to them one-to-one and look into their eyes, and then there's something missing. And you know that there's something missing when you do meet good friends in person, and it's so much more colorful and alive than anything you get on social media. My goodness, I'm getting strange noises around this house today. I think that's an acorn falling off one of my oak trees and landing on my propane tank. Yeah, crazy, weird life I live up here on a mountain. Do you have one or more individual friends or family members from whom you feel love of a non-romantic variety? Do you have a friend or family member who loves you? Do you have one or more individual friends or family members whom you feel love from and that you love back non-romantically? These things are important. If you're not feeling that sort of a love thing, this non-romantic love for people in your life, you're missing out on something really important in life. Go and find it. If you have one or more individual friends or family members from whom you feel love and whom you love, do you meet up with them regularly in person? So a lot of emphasis on meeting up with people in person. Are you part of a family, friend, work, recreational, or social group in which you feel like you really belong? If you are part of a family, friend, work, recreational, or social group in which you feel like you really belong, do you meet up with them in person? One of the things, I'm going to pull this down for a second. One of the things that I do, I have a beautiful, wonderful online community. I have a group, my Patreon group, patreon.com/alien contact. And this group, we have a most beautiful, wonderful, loving online friendship group. I feel like I might not be alone. I feel like there may be spirits or non-human entities around me. Anyway, I don't know if you can even hear the noises around me, but there's lots of bangs and creaks and groans. But that's great to have that online group, and it's so important to me. And some of these people, a lot of these people, they're in tears about how loving and beautiful my online social group is. But one thing I do is I do recognize that there is a deficit of connection if you're not meeting up with those people in person. And so what I do from time to time is I get in my car and I drive around the country and I meet up with them. I meet up with people. I bring people together in groups. We do meditations. We do contact activities. We go out to the restaurant together. And that's important. I need to stay home for a couple of months. I've got stuff to do around the house. But in December, start of December, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving away. And I am going to drive probably for 2 or 3 months around the whole US. And if you want to be part of a most amazing, wonderful community or friendship group, then join my online group. And then when I tour through your city, then come out and participate with us as an in-person group. And I guarantee it'll be one of the best things you've experienced in your life. Because not only will it be humans, but we'll be bringing in spirits, non-human entities as well. Anyway, if you are part of a family, friend, work, recreational, or social group in which you feel like you really belong, do you feel accepted by and welcomed to be with the people in that group? Do the people welcome you? And the next question is similar to that. Do you feel love from the people in the group towards you? And the final question in that bit, I'm sort of speeding ahead a little bit. If you're in that kind of a group and you feel love from them towards you, do you feel love towards them? And I'm talking about non-romantic love, friendship, platonic love, because it's powerful and it's important. Friends, when you don't have a good friendship group, it's one of those things like, well, I don't really need it. But when you've got it, it's like it lights up people's lives. Okay, let's see what is next. We're moving to the color blue. What is the color blue on this chart? It is esteem needs. Here we go. Are there any people in your life who seem to genuinely like and appreciate your personality? Are there any people in your life who seem to genuinely like and appreciate your ethical or moral characteristics? Are there any people in your life who seem to genuinely like and appreciate your lifestyle choices? Are there any people in your life who seem to genuinely like and appreciate your accomplishments or achievements? Because if you don't have people in your life who seem to like and appreciate all of those different things about you, well, there's a need that is not being met, a psychological need that is not being met. It's called esteem. And it may not feel like it's very important, but when you get it from people, it does feel good. And you do understand, oh, yeah, this is good. I like this. So what are you going to do? Join my online group. And people will get to know you, and they will start being complimentary of your positive qualities. Everybody has positive qualities, but your specific individual personal qualities, people are going to see that. And they're not afraid to say positive things about each other in my friendship, in my online community. And that's good. That's important. Then it goes down to greater personality, greater esteems for personality, for moral, and for lifestyle, and for achievements. You've got it on the screen there. It's just the same 4 categories that I did before, but to a greater extent. Do people in your life genuinely value or admire those aspects about you? Let's see, moving on to 4.2. This is esteem needs also, but esteem needs that you get from yourself. Do you like and appreciate your own personality characteristics? And I've got to say, if you're answering no to that, well, there's 2 possibilities. One is you're just very, very harsh on yourself. Another is that, well, you're not good enough, so make yourself better. Be the person you want to be. I know I sound like somebody else on KGRA when I say that, but be the person you want to be. Decide on a fictional or non-fictional person out there in the universe, whether it's, I don't know, a political leader you admire, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, or somebody fictional like Luke Skywalker or John Boy Walton or Bart Simpson, although that's probably not very likely. But whoever you look up to and admire, be like them. You can be anywhere you want to be if you put your mind to it. Your personality is determined by you, by the conscious choices you make. So if you don't like yourself enough, make yourself better. Do you like and appreciate your own ethical or moral characteristics? Again, the same thing. If you're doing things that you think are not very moral, stop and change. Do you like and appreciate your own lifestyle choices? Same thing. If you feel like, I wish I could go vegan because I like animals and I want to be good to the environment, and I also want to be good for my own, to my own body, for my own health, but I love the taste of ice cream. Well, that's a lifestyle choice. If you eat a lot of ice cream, just stop, make the decision, be strong and change. You only get this life once. Make the most of it. Be the best you can be. Do you like and appreciate your own accomplishments or achievements? Do you like and appreciate your own career path or job? I know it's tricky to change all of these things, but as soon as you start thinking, well, I don't particularly like my job or my career path, I want to do something that's better for the world, well, start looking into possibilities. Then it goes into all those things again, but to a greater extent. Do you feel that your personality characteristics are worthy of being valued or admired by others? So make yourself somebody that you like. Okay, let's go on to cognitive needs. Cognitive needs for variety and challenge. Do you feel like your career, job, or work life is sufficiently varied and interesting? Do you feel like your friendships and family relationships are sufficiently varied and interesting? Do you feel like your relationships with animals and nature are sufficiently varied and interesting? A lot of people, possibly most people, have just lost touch with nature. but it's part of us. And if we don't get out into nature and enjoy it in state parks or regular parks or in forests or even just in your back garden, then you're not getting everything you need. Do you feel like your relationships with the world and the universe are sufficiently varied and interesting? In order to have a good relationship with the world, one recommendation I have is to learn about it by going out there and exploring it. Do you feel sufficiently intellectually challenged or mentally challenged in your life? That's important. 5.2, cognitive needs for information. Cognitive needs to do with thinking, information. Are you confident that the sources of information about world events that you utilize are honest and reliable? It's a sad thing, but I think most people would say yes to that, even though I personally know that probably approximately half of the US population is not getting not utilizing sources of information about world events that are honest and reliable. But they don't know because they were raised watching the wrong TV broadcasts. If you're unsure, if you don't know, then this is my recommendation. Go and watch the BBC instead. Go to the BBC website. Having grown up in England and having traveled around the world to a lot of different countries, I know that that is probably the best source of world news in an apolitical way around the world. Are you confident that the sources of information about scientific realities that you utilize are honest and reliable? Well, as a scientist, I know that most people just don't get science. And that's a shame because science is the most powerful tool that we presently have as human beings to understanding reality. If you want to learn about paranormal and alien stuff, that's awesome, but you're not going to be able to understand that properly without a good grounding in science. So I recommend you go out and buy a high school or a college science textbook. Are you confident about the sources of information about spiritual, paranormal, and alien realities that you utilize are honest and reliable? Well, everybody can answer that yes for that because you're watching me. And you're probably watching, well, I'm not going to talk to the other shows that I don't know anything about. But that's one thing I try to do. I try with integrity to bring you honest information about the paranormal. Cognitive needs for identifying facts. Do you feel like you have an adequate ability to identify and accept facts? If you can't identify facts, then that puts your life at risk and also the lives of others that you give advice to. Do you feel like you have a good ability to identify and accept facts? Do you accept as being true the consensus of the global scientific community that human-caused climate change is real and severe? Do you place scientific facts above religious facts? The correct answer should be yes, because one is facts that have been proven and one are things that have not been proven. That's what beliefs are. Do you place scientific facts above political viewpoints? The correct answer, the moral, the ascended answer should be yes, because, well, do you trust all politicians? But you can trust the global scientific community because, well, as a scientist, I know that they derive their facts from proof and knowledge, and they don't hide that. You can go and you can see what their proofs are and you can replicate those proofs. Let's see. I only have 2 or 3 minutes left, so I'm just going to talk a lot very quickly. Cognitive needs for understanding. Do you feel like you currently have an adequate understanding of yourself? Do you feel like you currently have a good understanding of yourself? Do you feel like you currently have an adequate understanding of people? Do you feel like you have a good understanding of people? Do you have an adequate understanding of science? Do you have a good understanding of science? If you're not answering yes to any of these questions, figure out what you can do to change it. Do you have an adequate understanding of animals and nature? If you don't, go to an animal sanctuary. talk to the animals, feed the animals. They're beautiful, wonderful, loving creatures. And if you're not getting them in your lives, you're missing out on a big aspect of life. Do you have an adequate understanding of the world? If not, go and visit it. Do you have a good understanding of the world? Do you currently feel like you have an adequate understanding of alien and spiritual realities? A good understanding. Do you have an adequate understanding of the universe? Do you have a good understanding of the universe? Now, I know that there's some people that are going to want to get all of these questions done before the end of this show, but I literally only have about 2 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them up on the screen for a second or two. And here we move up to aesthetic needs. And if you want to, you can rewatch this show and pause this show and go through and answer these questions yourselves. Self-actualization, that is meeting your fullest potential, becoming the best you can be. Self-actualization. And it's self-actualization because it's stuff that you have to do for yourself for this to work. The higher level ones, the transcendence needs, this really is transcending above the conditioning that other people have imposed upon you. You can't transcend if you're remaining if you're staying conditioned by whatever families, schools, states, countries, politicians, religious establishments you grew up in. You have to transcend beyond those. Now, it may be that you transcend, that you investigate the world and everybody's perspectives, and then you come back to what you grew up with. Sometimes that happens. But if you maintain the same religious views of your childhood, the same political views of your childhood, the same cultural views of your childhood, you probably haven't done much ascending. Anyway, I have about 30 seconds left. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching this show. I hope it's been helpful to you. I am putting on my screen right now my website, and I hope you will join us there. I actually have just published a video of everything I've just talked about on my website, in tier 1 of my website. If you would like to see more from me, if you'd like to hear more from me, join my website. If you would like to join my wonderful community of loving, unconditionally loving, caring people, then I invite you to join my community. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Peace, love, and well-being to all of you. Goodbye for now.